Bonjour et bienvenue sur un nouvel épisode de On peut le dire. I hope I'm looking in the right place. I'll get used to it eventually. Today we're looking at how to pronounce the letter U in French. So if you see U, what are you supposed to say? First, the first key phoneme associated to the letter U is U. 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 So you have to say that if you see a U at the end of a syllable or at the end of a word. So that's what this little backwards L shape is showing you. U. For instance, you could have tu, which means you singular. So you talking to just one person. Tu, u, tu. You could also see that, you could also have the sound U if you see U with an E or an S or both after it. For instance, in the noun rue, which means street, we have UE, and we could have an S if we're talking about streets, plural. So we have rue, U. You may also meet U followed by a consonant, which may or may not be heard. And my example word here is plus. So plus can mean either more or no more. Often what we do in French is if it means no more, we don't say the S, and if it means more, we add the S sound. So j'en veux plus would be I don't want any more. J'en veux plus, I want more. J'en veux plus, I don't want any more. J'en veux plus, I want more. Technically, we should say j'en veux plus and je n'en veux plus, but in spoken French, we rarely say it properly. We could also have U with a circumflex accent, which is the little hat, circumflex. So that one is also going to make an U sound. For example, mûr is an adjective and it means ripe or mature, mûr. And finally, for this specific phoneme, for this specific sound, if you see EU as a single word on its own, this is an irregular past participle. It comes from avoir, to have. It could be followed by an E or an S or both, depending on gender and number, masculine, feminine, singular, plural. But that will sound like U as well. So, for example, j'ai eu, as in j'ai eu peur, I had a fright, j'ai eu peur. And je les ai eus, I got them, I received them. So, U as a single word, EU or EUE or EUS. If it's just one word, it's an U sound. Even though we saw in the video about E that if you see EU, you should say E, this is an exception. The next one is technically not a phoneme, it's two phonemes together, but it's quite interesting to practice because it's one pair that I've noticed English native speakers really struggle to make. You tend to turn it into a oui, as in yes, oui, but it's actually oui, and it's not quite the same. Oui, not oui. So if you have UI and it's the end of the syllable or the end of the word, we say lui. For instance, lui, lui, which is him or her or to him or to her, depending on context. And ensuite, which means then or next in time, not in space. Ensuite, next or then in time. So ensuite never means a bathroom in French. I got really confused when I moved to England and I saw signs that said bedroom with ensuite, and I was like, what on earth is that supposed to mean? Bedroom with then? Bedroom with next? Like, what? I don't know why it's used that way. But ensuite, then, or next. Ensuite. And we could also have UIE, for example, pluie, for rain, pluie, rain, singular. You can also have UIE and a consonant. For example, pluie with an S, plural. We know all about those in England, except today, it's really sunny today. Pluie with an S, rains. And then you could also see UI followed by a consonant, which may or may not be heard. Now, the most common example of that is in the verb suis, je suis for I am, so je suis, which often in French, in spoken French, becomes suis or even chu. Je suis pas prêt. I'm not ready. Lastly is the nasal sound. So I bet you are looking forward to more nasal vowel sounds. So we have the sound, which in the north of France is often coming out as same as IN. But technically, if you see um and it's the end of a syllable or the end of a word, which I don't think ever happens at the end of a word. No, at the end of a word, it will be different anyway, and you probably won't need it at our level. So at the end of a syllable, we say un. For example, humble, humble, which is humble. That's the only example I could think of, and I had to try really hard to figure it out. So don't worry too much about this spelling. More commonly, you'll see un at the end of a syllable or at the end of a word. So two examples. We have the adjective brun, which is brown for hair, brown hair, brun, with an S or without an S, it depends, singular, plural, blah, blah, blah. And then you also have the number un, which again, in the north of France, we tend to say un, which is technically different. If you don't hear the difference, that's fine, don't panic. I didn't hear the difference until I moved to England, and then someone taught me the proper way of saying the sound, because I'm from the north, we don't make a difference. I was like, I don't know, it's the same thing, but it's not. But if you think it's the same thing, it's fine. Oh, I thought that was the last one, but no, there's one more. This one you'll only meet in a handful of contexts, really, and you might never need it. But if you see Cueil, this is a big combination to learn, and then you say œil, like œil. So accueil. I said like œil because the I in French is l'œil. So accueil is the reception or welcome or welcoming. So that's the pronunciation here. It's a bit counterintuitive. It has a reason to be like that, but I'm not going to go into explanations because that will make the video last longer. And I don't think it tends to work out when it's too long. So that was it for the letter U. Typical sounds associated to the letter U are your U sound and your A sound, which is nasal, and your œil. If you see Cueil. This is it. So we've covered all the vowels now in French, A, E, I, O, U. We've also looked a little bit at Y when we did I, so that's fine, which means we're done. Consonants aren't really tricky except the R, but I've already done 3 videos on R, so we should be good on that. So next we can start looking at phrases and clauses and sentences and pace and all that exciting stuff. Someone also asked me to make a video just for nasal vowels, so I will look into that. Do put some comments in the comment section if you have any suggestion for content that you want me to do, either about pronunciation or it could be about anything else, about learning French or possibly German. I'm not as good with German, but I can research stuff. So do make some suggestions, like if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed and this is helpful, and share with other people you think this might help. And thank you for watching. I will see you in another video. Ciao, and don't forget, on peut le dire.